We started off today here with just a little review from the top 20. This was a suggestion from one of the students. I'm factoring this thing out because if you can factor it, you should. It's my favorite saying. And then if I go 35, let me think, how do I make a 35? 7 times 5 makes 35. And one of them needs to be negative. And I don't know which one to make negative, so I'll just pick that one. It doesn't matter. You just try it then. This is the critical part. Does this times this and that times that together make positive 2x? No, it actually makes negative 2x, which is perfect. If you ever get exact opposite of what you wanted, then you need the opposite signs. Remember that. If you're ever factoring and you get the exact opposite number as you wanted, then it's super simple. You just change the signs around. Not the numbers, the signs. Okay, now does it make positive 2x in the middle?
Yes.
Yeah. How about the bottom? X, and somebody say it.
X plus 5 and X minus 5.
Yep. And that way the outside and the inside cancel. See, there's no middle term in there. And I just have the x squared and I have the negative 25. And the reason this whole thing happened was so that these could cancel. Now, there is an important thing that kids sometimes don't know. They think, oh, there's one on the top and one on the bottom. I can cancel those. Can or can't you cancel in this situation? No, you can't. What if it was like this, though? Can or can't you cancel?
You can.
Yes, you can. You can cancel like this, and you can't cancel on the other one. Why? Well, if I gave you numbers, if I said 1 plus 5 over 5, you'd probably go, well, that's 6/5. Yeah. Is it still 6/5 if I cancel that? No. That's why you can't cancel that. Okay, so when there's adding, you can't cancel, but when there's multiplying, you can. So if I said 5 times 7 over 7, well, that's 35 divided by 7, which is 5. Look, I can cancel. So you can cancel when there's multiply. You can't cancel when they're added. All right, those are some really valuable top 20 topics. I'm going to give you one to practice to see if you really caught that. There. If you can factor it, you should. Try this one. Let's see, a couple people at Drift, I need you with me. Get some scratch paper loaded up, sir. Give you a chance. We're starting off the day with some extra fuel. Is that a monster? Oh, it's a different style of monster. I like it. Charge like $3 or something like that. That's not bad, actually. More than that at the gas station. Huh, that's good to know. I just brought in some of those and I think I paid more than that. All right, on the top, Annie.
I have X minus 5 plus X plus 1.
And how do you know you're right?
Because the minus 5 and the 1 are the back.
All right, I'm gonna on purpose now put this in, like I could have made them line up perfect, but there, that's factoring the bottom. A lot of people won't have noticed that a 1 is a perfect square. So you can do that little x plus 1, x minus 1 thing. That works anytime this number is a perfect square. Like 1, 4, 100, 81. Anytime that number is a perfect square. Okay, so then look. I didn't make it not, I made it so they aren't on top of each other, but they still cancel. Why? Because it's part of a multiply problem, see? So then the answer is x minus 5 over x minus 1. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. See, I only took about 5 minutes to teach you and practice it, so we're good there. And I even covered making sure that you knew when you can and when you can't cancel. It's a big deal. So there's got to be at least one more off the top 20 that you know you want to learn so that when we take the same exact thing again, it won't be the version 1. It'll probably be version 13 or something. Then you'll do better next time. Mira.
The first
Read it.
In parentheses, x squared minus 5x plus 3, and then multiplied by x minus 5.
Minus 5?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you all know the acronym FOIL, first outside, inside, last. At least you probably heard that in a algebra class. But this isn't FOIL anymore, and so some people get all confused. If I had just put an x out here, would you agree I just got to times everything by the x? If there had just been an x out there? Well, it's like that. It's just that you now have to times everything by this other number that I just scribbled out. I call this the giant clam technique, because if you look close and squint, you can see a giant clam that's black and white, like lays on the bottom of the ocean. Okay, that's the bottom of the
No, I
plant.
can't. It looks more like a wave.
You need imagination. See, if you can't see it, it's your fault. So anyway, that is the giant clam technique. All right, so, and side note, if you're ever scuba diving, they're really tempting to touch because they look soft and fascinating on the inside, and some people will reach in and touch them. What happens? Shuts. And then you're stuck because they're cemented to the ocean floor. And they probably weigh like, well, a big one might weigh 50 or 75 pounds. And it's cemented to the ocean floor. And now you're stuck down there. You might be like, haha, I've got air tanks. I'll be fine. Do they last forever? No. So anyway, beware the giant clam.
Anyway,
That's
stick instead.
that's the way you do it. All right. So there'd be 6 parts to your answer. Do you get the black lines would give you 3 parts to your answer, and then the blue or the red lines would give you another 3 parts. That's 6 parts to your answer, put together like terms.
It's just annoying.
Does that make sense?
Long.
All right, good. Next topic. Any other one? Yes, sir.
For question 20 on the quiz, why
Yep.
is the point slope form not accepted?
All right. I think that just specifically asked you for a certain type. You are totally okay with using this when it's not specified. So just to clarify, he asked, why can't I leave my answer in this form? By the way, this is awesome. You should memorize it. The calc teachers say you use that more than this. You probably remember that black one, y equals mx plus b. You use that one a fair amount. It's got the y-intercept and the slope. But the red one, you'll use even more. But you have to be able to handle it. If I have an answer like this, and I say you've got to convert it to this, all you really have to do is solve for y.
Y equals 2x minus 9?
Let me double check that. 14. Yes, you've got it. So my point is, you asked, why don't I accept this? Sometimes I do, if it's written out on paper. But sometimes on a Schoology quiz, you'll have to be able to rearrange them.
It just says the word equation,
Yeah, you're right.
but they're both
You
types
read
of
the Euclidean
equations.
distance.
So went on the Schoology quiz, it specifically said what type of equation you were supposed to use.
It?
Yeah, look at it closer. All right, so next question. Ready, Mark? Yes.
14.
Everybody look at number 14, please. Read it.
3 over 4 divided by 4 over 9.
All right, this is my favorite one to teach. Watch. Would you agree that divide sign means divide? That's what a fraction bar means, right? So instead of divided by 4/9, you can change this problem to times by 9/4. Boom, I'm done. That's it. Any questions? That's it. 9 times 3 is 27 over 4 times 4 is 16. That's all there is to it. So you take the bottom, flip it, multiply. Okay. So,
Final answer.
all right. So which of them is right?
Well, this one technically
Is it?
It's an equation.
It's an equation, but it's not the right equation. If it's wrong, I will happily fix it. But double check yourself that that is for sure the right equation, not just that it looks like yours. All right. So, any other topics from the top 20 that you would like to review? I get some of you are sitting out there right now and you're debating, should I ask him? I don't want to look stupid. Maybe everybody else knows this one. And you can always come in the morning, and if you're too scared to ask it now, what mornings can you come in? Monday? Well, I did have a bunch of kids in this morning. Wednesday during Mass, so a couple days from now, Mass time. Some of you will have nothing to do, and you'll have a choice. You could come in and get some extra help on math, or you could go sit in the commons and flip through your phone. I encourage you to come in. I don't have a rule on math that you have to be invited. Anybody can come in. Okay, so that just shows extra initiative, like, I want to fix those things that I'm weak at. Wait, though. Okay, I had a question first.
-3 plus and minus.
Tell us which problem it is.
Oh, 18.
Number 18. -3 plus and minus what?
Square root of 27. And then
All over.
all over 3.
All right. Watch and learn. See that square root of 27? Right away I go root 9, root 3. Could I have done it without that step? Yeah, because I'm a math teacher. But a lot of people mess up without that step. Because they get that, they know that there's a root 3 in there, and they know that there's a 3 in there, and then they like get confused about how to do it. So if you just make 2 square roots, it's not that bad. And then the square root of 9 is 3. So 3 square roots of 3. Do you get how I did that? With me, Kay?
Yes.
All right. Next, I have this whole thing which needs to get factored. See, some people forgot already what I said about you can't cancel that. You can't cancel that because it's not part of a multiply problem. See, it's got an add or subtract in there, so you can't cancel those yet. So you've got to factor this out so you'll turn the top into a multiply problem. So now I got -3 plus and minus 3 root 3 all over 3. And if I factor this, then I'll be able to cancel the 3 off. All right, so then I take out a 3 because there's a 3 here and here. There's not a -3 in both. Well, actually there is. I could factor out a -3, but I don't wanna. You know why? Because I want it to cancel with the bottom. So I'd rather just take out a regular 3 and leave the regular 3 on the bottom. And then I got -1 plus and minus square root of 3. Do you see how I took a 3 out of this and that? Technically, that's factoring, so technically I divided both of them by 3, which allowed me to see what to put here and here. Those cancel and I'm done. Let's see if you guys can do that one. It's a huge one, super important. You get to the end of the quadratic formula and you got this, 4 plus and minus the square root of 8 all over 2. And the weakest of you are going to try to cancel the 4 and the 2 right away. Can't even do it because they're part of an add subtract problem. Those that paid attention but think they're extra smart are going to try to do all of this in their head, and they might mess up which one's the square root and which one's the number. So I said do 2 roots and then go to the final simplified square root of 8. Did you go root 4 and root 2? And then the root 4 is really 2. So then it's really 2 root 2. So all of this simplifies down to 2 root 2. Then you can factor. And if you can factor it, you should. If 2 comes out, there's a 2 on the bottom all ready to cancel with it. If I can just finish. Sam, what goes in the parentheses? So can or can't you cancel those 2's now? Why can you before you couldn't? Why can you now?
Because the top is multiplied.
Yep, top is being multiplied. And the bottom is like times by 1, so you could think of that as times also. Okay, so there's my final answer. 2 plus and minus root 2. Okay, that was just a made-up problem for you to practice. So how many of you feel like if I gave you the top 20 again right now, which I'm not, but if I did, how many of you feel like you could do better than you did the first time around? Good, that's all I want is better. And then we do it again, and I want you to do even better than you did the second time. So eventually we'll do this 3 times. And by the end, many of you will be like, I got those all down. The ones that I'm scared about are the people that have a lot missing and don't fix it. Because if you can't motivate yourself to fix it in week 1 or week 2 or even week 3, then if you're not motivated right this second, then it's going to be really hard to get remotivated in like November. You know what I mean? You can't muster the motivation at the beginning. You probably don't have the strength to do it. Okay, so get motivated, get it done in the next couple of weeks. Learn them all. Because every single one of these skills is going to come up in the middle of a math problem, and I'll expect you to know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you will get that problem wrong in a test. And the sad reality is, on our test, we have about 12 questions. And typically, you're going to make a couple mistakes. And you can still get an A with a couple mistakes. But every mistake you make after that, your grade just keeps going down from an A to a B to a C. Okay, so you can have a couple free mistakes and still get an A. But every extra mistake after that, like this, like, ooh, I didn't remember how to do that. There goes another, your test went from an A to a B that fast. Because they're short. You don't have 36 questions on your test. We have like 12. All right, so moral of the story, top 20 is really important. And I'm happy you're asking me questions about it. All right, can't spend all hour on it though. So remember, the last 10 minutes, you can always come up and ask me about anything. It could be about last night's homework, etc. You can ask me more questions then. Right now, I'd like to zoom in on this problem. As usual, the notes are posted, but if you can't get them open, a blank notability doc would be fine. But just sitting there and watching me, even if you're staring intently at me, not good enough. You got to be able to do problems with me, because you're gonna forget anything I just said. Okay, you'll remember 10% of it. But stuff you write, yes, you'll remember way more of it. Distance formula, I taught it to you. Do you remember it? Everybody write out the distance formula with all the letters. Then we'll stick in the numbers. But first, write it out with the letters. A couple of other little procedural things. Try not to ask me questions in the first, like if I got 2 minutes left before class starts, I'm like a pilot who's just about to take off an aircraft. I have so many things I need to get ready. I don't have time to answer a little question with 2 minutes left before class. But after class gets started, in the middle of class, raising your hand is an okay time. And also at the end of class. If it's a personal thing, just you want to talk to me about something personal, I'll try to always have the last 10 minutes. I got this Apple Watch here. It's going to tap me when I have 15 minutes left so I can wrap it up. So you'll have, hopefully, 10 minutes left at the end. It's not like I don't like your questions. It's just there's sometimes when it's just too intense. There's only one plus sign in the whole formula, and I hope you remembered where it was. There was the formula. Now, there was one homework question which was kind of tricky. The homework question said that there was a point, which they give you 1 point at least, but they didn't give you both points. But they gave you the distance, was like 5, and they gave you one of the points, which you could stick in like the x and the y, but they didn't give you the other point. But they told you this about the other point in the homework. They said it was a y-intercept. Can you finish this sentence? It's a really important one. The y-intercept is where x is 0. So they were telling you one part of that last point. So they gave you a point, and they gave you the other point that it was the y-intercept, so the x was 0. Then there was only one variable in it. You stick everything in the equation, and you'd solve for that one variable. Here it's relatively easy. They gave you both points. But what's weird about it? They have this square root of 11 and the square root of 99. What is going on? Well, we just stick in all of our numbers. And x minus x, which one's bigger, 13 or negative 5?
13.
I personally would like to do 13 minus negative 5 because it'll work out nicer. It'll be positive 18. And then I got to square it. That's a pain in the butt, but I can do it. And 18 squared, just go off to the side of your paper or use your calculator and get 18 squared. That's the easy part. All right, so let's do the y's, though. That's the weird part. It's got 4 root 11 minus 2 root 99. Question?
2 root 99.
Ah, you're going to do the problem for me, aren't you? I just thought you had a question. All right, so I want to ask everybody, how could I possibly get it so that I can subtract these? If they were like terms, then I could, right? Olivia, do you see what we should do?
Can you turn the 2 square root of 99 into square root 3 times square root 33?
Square root of 3, square root of 33, but I want to wait and think, wouldn't it be nicer if it was the square root of 11?
Oh, okay, so the square root of 11 and the square root of 9.
That's it. Now what's the square root of 9? 3 root 11. Do you get now it's 4 root 11 minus 6 root 11, 3 times the 2. There was a 2 in front of that, so 2 times the 3 root 11 makes 6 root 11. 4 minus 6 root 11 makes negative, and we don't care because it's going to get squared, 2 root 11. But then there's some of you that can do this, 2 root 11 squared, and some of you don't, or can't. Because some of you are going to be like, I don't know if I should square the 2 and the root 11, or if I should, I don't know how to do that. Whenever you have a problem that you're not sure, just make it simpler and say, what if it was 3 times 5 and then squared? Do you think I could just square the 3? Would that be okay? No. 3 times 5 is 15, and then I got to do the 15 squared. That's not going to be the same as if I just did 3 squared is 9 times 5 is 45. That's not, I can't just square one of the two numbers. So then that means I better square both of them. What's 2 squared? What's root 11 squared? 11. Think of it as root 121, which is then 11. So that's really 4 times 11, so it's really 44. So it's all going to work out real nice because it got squared. Okay, good enough. I don't want to even finish that one because you should be able to do it. On to this next one. Simplify the following interval by keeping it in interval notation. Well, why can't I just leave it the way it is? Because put it on a number line quick. Everybody take a second and put that on a number line. I'm telling you, I know what your test is like. Trust me then when I give you good ideas. Always take problems like this and put them into a number line first. All right, so did it go from 5 to 7? I hope so. Did it include the 5 and the 7? I hope you did that. But I'm going to do the other ones in a different color. That one goes from 7 to 16, but it didn't include the 16. It's the only parenthesis on there. So then it's like that. And if they want to put it all together in one thing, it'd be from 5 to 16. And I think once I see it on a number line, these are kind of easy. It says intersect. Ooh, it says intersect. Good catch. I thought it was a union. Wait. I'm not done. Now that I know that, a lot of things are probably wrong. Okay, hold on just a second here. So from 5 to 7 was red, and it didn't include 7 on this first one. Good point. Okay, so then I better change my red one and make it red. Server. There to there. The 5 to 7. And the other one was the blue one, so I'm going to make them like separate like this so you can see it. Okay, now that I know it's an intersect, that's a big difference. Do they ever actually match? Then the answer is no solution. Good, that made quite a difference. Thank you for catching that. All right, move on. We're talking about Venn diagrams. These are examples of Venn diagrams. A lot of people think whales are fish. They are not. Both whales and fish live in water. They both have fins, and they both can swim. But whales have hair? Yes, they do. They have live birth. Fish don't. They have eggs. And they breathe air. It's a weird thought, but you can drown a whale. So, in fact, that is a technique that orcas use to kill whales. It's brutal, but they won't let a whale surface. The orcas will keep it down until it drowns. It's a weird concept for a whale to drown, but orcas are the ultimate ocean predators because they're super strong, super fast, and they hunt in a pack. So anyway, fish are different than whales. Wait, can't talk about orcas anymore. Too much to do. All right. So shade the specific regions A, union B. Would you please shade in where A, union B is?
Whales and
Get back, focus. There's a couple people that aren't. I don't want to single you out, but get back with me. This is a critical part because a lot of people get confused on these shadings and then it bothers them all the way till the test and then they bomb that one question on the test. So focus. Union means all of this. but not outside of the A and the B. Not here, I'm gonna shade in this area in blue. Not this blue area. Why? Because that's not A or B. And you have to understand that this is like apples, bananas, and people that don't like either one live out here. There in that part of the diagram, if you don't like apples or bananas. How about the people in the middle? Well, they liked apples and bananas, but who cared? I didn't care. When it's union, everybody who got invited by one of the two groups is in. Everybody's eye is drawn to where they intersect. That's actually A intersect B. Now, is that the same as this? No. Pay attention to the little mark next to the A. Pay attention, because this is important. I want you to interpret that as, okay, here's the fancy word for it. It's the complement to A. They could use that word some point, but I like to think of it as A not. So if this was apples and bananas again, that A with the little mark, that means not apples. Okay, so whenever I do a not A, shading in A is easy. That's like this, right? It's like the opposite of that. A not, I like to think of A as kind of like the sun, and I go out from the sun, I shade in all the rest of it. Do you get how that black shading is A not? If the question had only been A not, then I would be done right now. Okay, if it was just A not, that's A not. That makes sense to you? It's also called the complement to A. Okay, now, don't even think about the union yet. We'll do that later. Now, just think about the B. If I just shade in B, everybody shade that in with like some other color. I'm going to use green. Just shading in the B. And again, people's eyes are drawn to the intersect. They're like, I see the part that's double shaded. Because back when you were a little kid, that's about as hard as we would make it. Is this question an intersect question? No. So then it's a union, which means anybody who ever got shaded is in the answer. Do you get that the answer is everything that is shaded? And the only thing that's not in the answer, I'll say right here, this yellow area, that's the only thing that's not shaded for my final answer. Now, how will I be able to tell what you mean? If you leave something shaded in any color, then I know that you think that's part of your answer. Okay, so that is the answer. Do you have to change it all to one color? No, you just leave it all shaded. All right, let's change it to intersect though. Let's imagine the problem said intersect. So let's everybody, what would you do if this hadn't been a union, if it had been an intersect? Then what would you do? If you left your answer like it is right now, I would mark it wrong, because if you leave it like this, you're saying everything that's shaded is my answer. So then what you'd do is you'd know the place that got double shaded is the answer. So I'm going to use yellow to shade that in. Only the yellow region. Can you just tell me, Mr. Server, it's only the yellow region? Nope. You have to erase all the other stuff.
Should we show our work though?
Excellent question. Not on a shading question, because you can't really tell. So at the end, there is what I'd like your final answer to look like. If it was intersect. Are you with me so far? Okay, these get harder. Triple Venn. Apples, bananas, and carrots. Well, the first thing you do, it's always one step at a time. I got to do A. Everybody just shade in A. All of it. Then, shade in B. Don't worry about the intersect thing. Just shade in B. Different color. Now go look at the symbol between them, and the symbol is intersect. So now you need to stop and do this part completely because it was in parentheses, so it goes first. So now I'm going to intersect them, and I know that that's right here, and I got to go erase everything else. If you don't do that right now, you'll get so confused on these complicated problems. There, I'm done with the first part. That was A intersect B. Does that make sense to you? That's where the A and the B intersected. Now I have to do C. Remember I said ignore the symbol for a minute? Just do C. I'm going to do that in green. Where is C? It's all of this. Now my eye naturally goes to where they just overlapped, but is that really what I want? No. I want where the union is, which is everything that just got shaded. So I get to leave it just the way it is. Everything that's shaded is my answer. Does this make sense to you? Okay, it's also critical to just do one thing at a time. If you look at this problem, you're just gonna, your eyes are gonna cross and be like, what? I have no idea what that is. But if I just asked you what that is, do you know what not A is? If so, shade it. Then shade B. Then figure out if you should leave it all shaded or if it's the intersect. And when you're done with that, intersect it with C. And don't feel bad when you probably get this one wrong. I'm telling you, these are hard. So try your best with that warning that these are hard enough that I'm predicting there's at least 10 kids in here who are going to get it wrong. You should at least check yourself to be like, if you see an easy answer, that's probably not it. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Well, you give this your best shot, and then I want you to duke it out with the person next to you. Likely that you and them will be different, and you got to talk through like, oh, I think it's this way because, and maybe between the two of you, you can figure out who's right. I'm pausing while you work on that. Here we go. Not A. You start with this. I like to think of it as A is the sun, and it's shining its rays out on everything else. Okay, there's not A. And here's B. I'm going to use a different color. That's B. And you naturally are going to be looking for where do they intersect, but that's not what we wanted. We wanted union. So I leave it all shaded. And now I bring in my third color. I'm going to use blue, and I'm going to just do the C. Don't worry about what the intersect or union is. I'm just going to do the C. So now, was it intersect or was it union? Would you agree if it had been union right here, I could just leave everything shaded? It would have been super simple. But it's intersect. So now where did the blue intersect with the other ones? So I'm going to think of it this way. What area is not triple shaded? No, wait, not triple shaded. Not triple shaded. I almost made a mistake there. The blue has to be intersected with something else. Because the rest of the area is, I could even change it to all one color. Change these red to green lines. Maybe that'll make it easier for you.
That's what I did.
I like that idea. The final answer for that other shading is just all the green. Okay? All I did is change red to green because together this is one big answer, which is all the green stuff. Okay, now I'm going to intersect it with C, with the blue. So where does blue intersect with something else? Well, I'm going to erase areas that aren't blue intersected with something else. That area in there was not both things. It was only one shaded. This is only shaded in one area, the stuff around the outside. So that no longer is in the answer. Are all the other areas double shaded? No. Blue has to be in it. You know, this is an intersection with the C was blue. So it has to have blue in it, otherwise it can't be part of the answer. So this part gets erased because that didn't have any blue in it. And that's erased, and that's erased, and that's erased, and there is your final answer. It's like C with a little bite taken out of it. Olivia.
What about, because that little like corner is
Which little corner?
in A. Like,
This one here?
no, like right next to it.
The first part's a union.
Yeah. Like that's in A, right? So
Wait, what's in A? This part?
This section, all three of them are is that triangle.
Oh, the triple. Okay.
yeah.
That part. Okay. Let me ask you this question. Is that part in the middle, should that get shaded by C?
Yes.
Okay. should that get shaded by that combo over there? Should that area have gotten shaded by not A, union B? Should the middle area have gotten shaded by this?
You're making me think yes, but I just don't know why.
So, do you agree that if it's a union, it could be shaded by either this or that? The not A or the B?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so that central area that got shaded by all three, that got invited by the B. So it is in the answer.
Okay.
All right, now in the end, how many of you did have it right? Raise your hand if you did. All right, and it's only like 6 of you. Do you remember me warning you that a lot of people have it wrong? So don't feel stupid. Most people don't get this yet. It's okay, you'll get it. You're just used to being able to get things super quick. We're gonna start the homework together. I do have a bring Kleenex up here because it would be really nice. Weirdly, the school does not provide us with Kleenex. So I got a few boxes left over.
Well,
Simple.
school is not providing.
That's correct.
They have to give us new iPads every 2 years.
Yup. They have a technology special thing. So point is, you don't just automatically have Kleenex. It's only here because either I bought it or you bought it and brought it. So it's not that hard to do. I'm not saying you have to, but just if you bring it in, I will put your name on the bottom, and then I will know that, oh, this came from Adam. Down deep, he was responsible and brought me Kleenex. You don't have to bring me Kleenex, but if you ever want to use some, which right now you probably don't need it. It's in the fall and it's cold and flu season. It's pretty handy to have some. And think of it this way, I'll happily store the box of Kleenex for you. You just have to share it with other people. And if a few, we don't have to have everybody. I'd have too much if everybody brought me one. There's tons of people that aren't going to do it. So if you can be one of the kids that brings me Kleenex, that'd be great. You know, in the old days, teachers actually used to give extra credit. I never did, but some people did. They actually gave you a better grade if you brought them Kleenex. We no longer do that. That's against our grading policy. But if you would like to bring some Kleenex, I would appreciate it. Enough about the Kleenex. So tomorrow is the start of in-class competition. Well, the partner is going to be just the person next to you. We are not doing a collage this year. All I'm going to do is that deal where I walk down the row and record you. It's still going to not happen. Probably not even today. It's too busy today. Probably tomorrow. Where I walk down the row and you just got to tell me, hi, I'm Sam, and I really like my collection of Beatles. Whatever it is. Okay? All right. So let's get to the homework. And let's actually go to that. Now, I can tell that that's the homework and the other one wasn't. Maybe you can't. Let me show you how I can tell. See that little thing right there? That tells me that that's the start of the actual homework problems versus just some more practice problems that we were going to do in class. Now, you also may remember that the homework problems, you don't have to necessarily do all of them. And I will often go through and say, you should skip this one, you can skip that one. And sometimes we will turn it in, and sometimes we won't turn it in. All right. So I am going to suggest that this just gets so complicated, we're going to get rid of that. And I think doing A, B, and C on this would be very good. All right, so let's just start this together. Fitness club has 60 members. My opinion, upper left is the best place to put the grand total. It's going to add up to 60. 35 attend the aerobics course. A common mistake is for the kid to go, oh, so 35 goes here. Think about it. There's 35 in the aerobic class. Then what is 35? Not the P section. P and Q. P plus the Q is 35. So that means you can't tell which is which. You're right. Not yet. Okay, next. 28 attend yoga. Should I just stick to 28 here? It's the only place there's a variable. No. Could you say that Q plus the 11 has to equal 28? Ooh, that means I can solve for Q. And that means I can solve for P. And that means I can pretty much finish the question. But you might end up adding these all up and they don't add up to 60. How could that possibly not add up to 60? Yes?
Neither.
Yeah, the neither. The people that are outside the two circles. They aren't in the aerobics or the yoga course. All right. Now, it also says 17 members attend both courses, so you could have just got this 17 from that, but it does solve that little equation, so. All right, good enough. Finish that problem as part of your homework. Now, here's the part where I wanted to start with you. If you can't do 45A, I'm very sad for you. Please, do A. That should be easy. But B is the kind that just kicked everybody's butt except for like 6 of you. So everybody try A and then quickly move on to B, and I'll pause for a second. Don't look at the answers yet. There will be answers, but don't look at them yet. Pausing. And here's the big reveal. A union or intersect B is where they overlap. There it is. A union B means everything that's in A included with everything that's in B. So I gotta be careful. I almost missed shading this area in for the A. Okay, now union C. Unions are big groups. You just get to add them all up. There, everything that's shaded is in the answer. That's it. If that last one had been intersect, it would have been way harder, but it would have been only where the green overlapped something else. Okay, now not A. In the next problem, not A. I'd start shading that by doing this. And remember, I would just do B. Don't try to do the symbol yet. Here's B. And then I would look at the symbol and go, oh crap, it's the hard one. It's only that part that got double shaded. And so then I would erase out everything else that didn't get double shaded. And I'll let you finish it. It is your homework, by the way. All right, that's all I got for you for today. Get your homework done. And if there's no Dropbox, that means you don't have to Dropbox. I haven't decided whether to put up a Dropbox yet. All right, that's all I have for you for the video for today.